Hello, everyone, and welcome to the VCS English for the VCS Week 2 day. What are we on now, Marby? I think day 3, right? It's Saturday?
Day 3.
Day 3. I like that. Just a very casual 3. Anyway, we do have 2 series coming everyone's way today as Flash as Flash are taking on Team Secret, and then we will be seeing Cerberus facing off against GAM. So before we start talking about Cerberus against GAM, we do have to look at the first series at hand. Flash 0-2 in the standings, Team Secret 2-1, but I feel like that 0-2 scoreline for Team Flash isn't really indicative of how well they've actually been playing on the Rift.
No, because when you look at you have to look at their matchups, right? Considering they're a new team, they've got a lot of the Puppies roster, so Cerberus Academy, coming in as rookies or newish players. The only real veteran presence there is Yoshino, and they've gone up against Gun, undefeated, and Cerberus, undefeated. So it's definitely a little bit of strength of schedule coming up and hurting Flash, but they were able to take one game against Cerberus, and they put up 2 great early games against Gum. So I think there is a very high chance that against a team lower on this sort of projected standings like Secret could easily fall to them.
And speaking of Team Secret, we've seen them going up against Saigon Buffalo. We've seen them going against MG and Box Esports, picking up wins there, but losing against SBTC. What do you really think of Team Secret compared to how they were performing towards the end of Summer Split 2022?
I think they've definitely fallen off a little bit from where they were at the end of last split. I don't know if that's necessarily meta shift, just a bit of they need the time to get rolling, and they've sort of reset on their progress, and by the time we hit summer again, they'll be back to sort of topping the regular season. But they haven't been fantastic. They've been very sketchy in a lot of their game ones in each series. Their loss against SBTC was rough for them because they almost came back in that second game but got rolled. And I think just they need to work on a little bit of early game presence, especially out of the jungle position, and consistency in their lanes, because the variation between laning phases in different games from the bot lane and top lane especially are just so huge that games just get decided in the lanes sometimes.
It's weird as well because coming into this split, I think I count 3 teams in my head who have had no roster changes of any sorts. And you've got Team Secret, you've got Saigon Buffalo, and you've got Cerberus. And Team Secret and Saigon Buffalo doing, I'll say, significantly worse than 2023, right? 2023, they were, second and third best teams. And sorry, 2022, they were second and third best teams. Maybe I'm leaking the script for Summer Split. Cerberus, though, have really picked up, right? They're undefeated. We're looking at this game later on today between themselves and Gammas, having 5 wins between them and no series defeat. So, as you mentioned, Marby, it might just be coming down to a meta, and maybe they just need to rework some of their synergies and wait for the meta to come back their way. However, for Flash against Team Secret, let's look towards some of our matchups. Are there any in particular that are really eyeing up your fancy and making you think, you know what, this could be where all the action will be?
I know top lane doesn't matter, but I'm very excited about it because we have Hero versus Yoshino. Both these top laners have something to prove. Hero last split was, in my opinion, the best in the regular season, the best top laner in the league. And he slipped a bit,
over
but his
Enter.
lane, yes, over Enter holistically. This year he needs to keep that up. He's had very strong lanes. He's up usually about 10 CS plus about 500 gold or so, and about half a level at 15. So, and on the other hand, Yoshino has solo killed 2 of the other top tier top laners. He solo killed Pun. He solo killed Kiaya multiple times, and I think that's just a little bit of he's coming back. He wants to prove that he is still a top tier top laner. He is still that guy who won back-to-back splits in 2020, and yeah, I think I'm very excited to see these top laners continue to try and cement their legacies.
And we always knew this was going to be a very interesting split to see for Yoshino. I feel like every split is always interesting for Yoshino because we do know, of course, how incredibly talented Yoshino is. He had that very, very bad split with Team Flash back in 2021. I remember that because it was my first real season casting on the VCS, and he played well. Flash didn't. And it got Flash demoted, and now they're back. And Yoshino is going to want to make a statement that this is not going to happen again, and he's going to make this Team Flash rise up. They haven't done that so far, right? There's a reason why they are 0-2, but Yoshino has not been the cause of that.
Yeah, no, the whole team as a whole looks pretty much kind of like their failings and strengths are pretty typical of a new VCS team. Super strong early game, pretty decent team fights, but their macro doesn't really exist. It's very, very rudimentary. And against better teams that have been around for ages with lots of veteran presence, they get out-rotated, and then they go down in gold, and then we'll lose the team fight from there. But I have been impressed with the way they've started a lot of their games. Puddin has put up good numbers in team fights when he's allowed to. And of course, yeah, Yoshino is great as well. So at all stages. So I think there's plenty of room for this team to grow. I'm not expecting them to top the league and win a championship this split by any means. But I'm excited for their potential.
And with that, we can head in to pick some bans for game one between Team Flash and Team Secret. And we're already seeing a couple of bans that are coming through from the side of Team Flash, banning away the Azir and Maokai. Team Secret, though, banning away the Jace and Sejuani.
Yeah, we've seen a bit of a strange strategy in the VCS, which just mostly ignore the power picks and the bans and just target your players. So, like Jace, Nautilus, Azir, these aren't OP bans that you see across the other regions. They're just specific targets at players. The Ashe, of course, will also be banned, but that's a bit more standard as the big OP that often gets removed. And
this Nautilus ban, though, I've never seen that before.
No. Nautilus is not ban-worthy unless you really do not think that the enemy team can play an Enchanter. And we are going to go for the Gragas first pick. Very flexible. Can play 3, even 4 positions. Suhao could absolutely play that, given his previous tenure as a jungler. And I think it's a bit of a strange one, because you give up the opportunity for an Annie. You give up the opportunity for an Elise, even though a lot of these teams haven't been playing it. And you give up a lot of potential for a lot of... You don't show anything, but you give up a lot of easy pickup potential in the first phase.
I think that keyword being flexibility, something that Gragas himself probably isn't particularly good at, but the champion does have that ability in terms of placement, as the Vi looking to be locked in for the side of Team Flash, and is indeed done so. And we know that Vi is going into the hands of Fuquan in the jungle.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic pick. A lot of agency against those champions like the Zeri. And combined with this Annie, it's just a great 2v2 pick duo who can, if they get any priority, can just move around the map and pick up ganks in either side lanes. The dissolution maybe will be a decent plan. The idea is to just try and drag the cease and desist back into an awkward position from Vi. But in the end, just looking at the standard bot lane, I expect the Nami to come in shortly. There we go.
Lucian Nami being a staple of the bot lane meta at the moment here in the VCS and pretty much all around the world as well. We'll see how Team Flash and Pudding and Sora want to match into this Lucian and Nami's. What particular ADCs actually would you like to see Pudding look towards?
I'm predicting the Zeri, because that's the fairly standard. The only issue by hitting Zeri now is the Lulu would almost certainly be banned away straight away. So just a top lane option makes a lot of sense, and then it sort of comes down to what's left. They can't ban out Caitlyn, Varus, and Zeri, so it's a matter of picking whichever gets left up, I suppose, by the side of Team Secret.
Fiora now locked in for Yoshino. We've mentioned it time and time again how good Yoshino is on this champion. He played it into Gam. He got some solo kills against Kiaya with the Fiora. And he's essentially saying, look, I don't really care where that Gragas is going. It could be Hero playing it. He can try to counterpick my Fiora. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to win this lane. And it means that Team Flash also get the counterpick. Well, I say the counterpick towards this bottom lane. They get to see the composition of Team Secret before deciding exactly which ADC they want to commit to.
Yeah, I'm liking this focus on the jungle from the side of Flash as well, because it's sort of I think it's trying to force that Gragas into the jungle, which is arguably his least effective position, because he's not going to get as much gold. He's going to be fairly squishy in that compared to a top lane or a mid lane Gragas, and as such, just keeping those options closed off. So here, so either Skewed has to pick up the Gragas, or they have to reach a little bit deeper into the jungle pool. Skewed hasn't shown us any Elise yet, so I don't think it's going to come out as an option.
And Elise hasn't been banned away. Maybe, you never know, you could get a first-time Elise in the jungle for Skewed, which would be his first competitive game on the champion. As I've also just realized, this is Skewed playing instead of Penguin here. So we see Skewed, I want to say a couple of days ago? Or was it yesterday?
Yesterday.
There we go.
Yes. Yep. Comes in, hasn't looked like a significant upgrade over Penguin, but hasn't looked like a downgrade either, so it's just a matter of who works with the team better. Yeah, I think we're going to start to see the Gragas sort of shifted into that jungle with the locking of Renekton and presumably some sort of mid lane. Artifact can play the Orianna, which is a known sort of purported, I wouldn't necessarily say known. Yes, he played this yesterday into Box Esports when they had Annie, and so this seems like his go-to answer as a response if he feels comfortable, and that's it. There's the Cassio.
I was actually going to say, I'd love to see Artifact full AP Gragas in the mid lane, and Team Flash now with their final champion. If that Lulu got picked up, which to be honest makes a lot of sense if it is paired with an Aphelios, it just feels like such a boring R5 to kind of round out the composition. I always like to see these really spicy counter picks, but just the support left, and Sora will lock in the Lulu, a very, very effective bottom lane pairing.
Yeah, just a nice one to see. Standard, a little bit of defense for your Aphelios. I want to see more Thresh. Thresh has been buffed like crazy, but none of these teams are picking it up, and it makes me sad. But hey, Lulu would do. It fills the purpose to protect the Aphelios, but it's sort of led into an idea where the mid jungle duo is the focus for Team Flash in the early game, and then you're looking for Fiora and Aphelios to sort of carry the mid to late through the sides in team fights.
And we'll see whether the side of Team Secret can essentially take that advantage in the early game, whether they can get a lead for their Lucian Nami, which can be so devastating in the first 20 minutes or so. But I'm always looking, whenever I see this, I'm always looking towards what this Annie can do, right? It's going into a Cassio pair that's not going to be strong until, 3 items or so? And if they don't get the Annie online, if they don't get it roaming around the map to try to get some kills in the side lanes as well, I always feel like the pick is just wasted to some degree.
Yeah, the joy of the Cassiopeia is that with the sort of standard rushes of both these champions, Annie can't really burst her out in lane by herself. If Vi comes up, absolutely can, as we'll chuck over to Rift. And that's it. You sort of need her ability to get snowballing within the lane itself, and you can keep her pressured in, so she can't just escape to a side lane and get those kills going there. So we've seen a little bit of it, and it's been effective so far, and hope to see if Artifact keep it up.
So on to the ref we do go. Team Flash looking for their first series win of 2023. And just having a little gander over towards the bottom side. One of the changes, I believe it's a change to Annie, is that she now starts with 4 stacks. So she can flash Q if she wanted to get some CC onto Eddie and maybe force Eddie to burn his cleanse or flash.
Yeah, and in the end, I think he just was forced to start E. I had a little bit of a delay there, but he did not find himself in a great position. But all in all, nothing too much taken away. But yes, that early stun, that pressure from the Annie, lets her be a little bit more impactful in these level 1s, not having to start W and sit and fountain spamming it to build it up. So just happily engage and push off these fights. Now, the early level 1 trading could be difficult for both teams. Level 1 for Aphelios is not very strong, so kind of undoes the advantage in the support position. And just a little bit of trading, but nothing much to write home about. As jungler's just going to clear both towards the bot side. It's the standard way to play the game. Head bot, keep your bot pressure on, and gank bot when you can.
Well, Yoshino has already got Hero down to about half health in this Fiora-Renekton matchup, just really using the lunges and finding the vitals of a Hero to do so much work in the first level of this game. Something that I do want to bring up as well is talking about some of the spells, because very often when we see an Annie in the mid lane, we see the Ignite coming through for that extra kill pressure. However, Jane opting to go for the teleport, so having a bit more presence in the later stages of this game.
Yeah, just so I realize is that, no, I can't. I'm never realistically going to be able to blow out the Cassiopeia and get that kill threat going. So just have the ability to return to lane, keep the farm up if you get pressured out, and keep everything nice and steady. Gives you a bit of side lane presence later on as well. And everything just proceeding as normal. I believe there might be a lack of information on Fuquan, who skipped over his Raptors and the ward that was on them. Not sure if he was spotted, so they may not be aware that he is on this bot side right now. They're going to find out as he bumps into Skewed.
We're going to get a quick trade, and the issue here for Team Secret is Eddie and Juhao can't make their way up, so Skewed is going to be forced to belly bop over the wall and out to safety, and Fuquan will gain control of the bottom side river and pick up the first Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, we're actually seeing really, really nice landing coming out of Team Flash right now. There's good trades coming up from both sides, and yeah, just keeping up the pressure, winning these trades on this Lucian army. Can't quite find the angle, but now Skewed looking for that return. Fook has left the area. He will be spotted now.
And it's a really nice ward that was placed by Fuquan just to give Pudding and Sora a little bit of extra vision, a little bit more awareness of when Skewed might have potentially looked for a gank. And that ward comes in pretty well for the Team Flash bottom lane.
Yeah, Skewed he's cleared out his camps. He's just trying to make something happen while he can. He's lost the bot side crab, and his little wandering has left him open to being double scuttled by the side of Fuquan, so that's gonna be a pretty comfortable advantage unless this wraparound comes through. Puddin is quite low, has both summoners.
Hero and Yoshino trading on the top side, both of them missing out a bit of health. Now Skewed comes over the ward. He's not going to be spotted by the ward, but Eddie and Juhao are so low, putting on a half health. What can Skewed do? Sidesteps the barrel roll. Flash forward from Sora! Is not enough. Eddie will survive, but now there is no support for Skewed, and Sora and Pudding can just unleash auto after auto. Jane making their way over, actually teleported to the bottom lane tower just in case things went south for the Team Flash bottom lane. Jane has flash, can just flash Q to land the stun, decides against it, but now where is he gonna go? It's one poor support against the world, and Team Flash get first blood.
Absolute bloodthirst coming out from Sora. He saw the angle. He didn't quite have enough to get it in, but they outplay it beautifully. And with that follow-up from Jane, he walks away with a kill, which is, it's a nice reward for coming down to help, even though he wasn't necessarily needed. And just beautiful coming out from the side of Team Flash, off to a fantastic start, picking up 1,000 gold lead. And this is missing the most exciting part, is we just sort of see Skewed have to walk away from the Gravitum and the Lulu. He can't quite do anything, and Suhao just...
Marby, do you think Jane should have flashed Feud?
He might have got there in time. It might have just gone through, and the projectile would have had to follow skewed all the way to base. I understand not committing the flash when you had the guaranteed kill of Suhao, who was staying at a tower anyway. But
Okay.
yeah, it's a slow moving projectile, so there's a decent chance that the teleport would have completed anyway.
Flash W.
Possibly.
Anyway, it is one kill, and it is first blood for Jane, who is now a little bit of CS down on Artifact after effectively 2 roams to the bottom side, skewed, trying to, skewer his way over to this bottom side, but Fuquan is here as well, and neither side knows that the enemy jungler is waiting, so this might go really badly for Skewed. In goes Fuquan, finds the CC, the Aqua Prison doesn't land, but Skewed is going to be able to make his way back to safety. No kills come through, and Pudding loses a large chunk of his health bar.
Yeah, technically this is a win for Team Secret. It's simply a health trade, and Fook blew his flash, so just actually a small victory. Free Dark Harvest stack as well for Skewed, so you take those. And narrow on that Aqua Prison, but Team Flash will walk away just fine. And meanwhile, there is a 20 CS lead happening in the top side, and that's a Renekton. You're meant to win lane, and that's a Fiora with Cull.
I feel like Renekton is meant to win lane. I don't know how the matchup against Fiora goes, but I know whenever I play Fiora, every matchup feels great. As here comes Fuquan in the bottom lane. Cease and desist onto Eddie. Little Lance will find it slow, but Team Flash just can't follow up. They do get the cleanse out of the Lucian, so that is one summoner down for the Team Secret bottom lane.
Yeah, nice Aqua Prison to stop the follow-up from Pudding, and it all goes well. But on the top side, here's Yoshino punished.
Flash forward to find the CC. Can Yoshino make his way out to safety? Surely he's got a flash available. Barrel Roll will get another Dark Harvest stack for Skewed, but there won't be anything further to come through. And now Eddie just having a little think about whether he wants to go in and trade onto Pudding.
Lots committed from both sides for a lot of not much. Oh, that's good.
Really good Aqua Prison. Solo. There come the autos, and that is the kill. Eddie, good flash forward from Pudding to make it a 1-for-1 in the bottom lane. And now he's just got to run down Ju. How Moonlight Vigil comes through. Is there enough damage? Yes, there is. And it's a double kill for the Team Flash ADC.
That's an effective 2v1 for Pudding, because Sora just fell down instantly. But hey, you got the assist as Lulu, so you can't complain. And a double kill for the Aphelios, going to get
Sora had heal.
Racing ahead. Have to check those. We're not going to actually get to see the summoners, but maybe it just wasn't quite up in time and just popped straight open. And Pudding, left to his own devices, has that barrier to absorb some damage and gets to run down Suhao, built up the chakrams and lands the ultimate. That means that there's just a few more bits of damage to finish him off.
I know Aphelios has been out for a really, really long time at this point, Marby, but I'm going to be honest, I still don't understand how his ult works with the auto attacks following through and all of that, so I just watched just thinking something cool's got to happen whenever Aphelios does things. I should probably play some Aphelios to work it out, but yeah.
Big green one. The green Q and ultimate puts a mark on someone, and when you right-click them, you basically get an auto attack with nearly infinite range. And if you have chakrams, it'll throw all the around you as your secondary weapon. It'll throw all the chakrams at people.
Eddie does have a flash available. It is a nice tidal wave to get a knock up onto Sora. Wild growth used just to keep a Fuquan healthy, but Eddie holds his nerves and holds onto his flash.
Yeah, Fook going very deep, sort of just far away from where Pudding can actually respond to the aggression. And now that the Vi has left the area, or so they think, Skewed is here to make his presence felt with that explosive barrel.
These junglers are enjoying this bot lane way too much as Moonlight Vigil comes through just to chunk Eddie even further down, and Jamie is here as well. It's the bot lane party. Artifact does not have a teleport available and is slowly walking his way over. The culling used just to get through this minion wave as quickly as possible as Artifact reaches the bottom lane and Team Flash will make their exit.
And Skewed has just also been losing out in just the jungle farm. There's an entire top side left for Fuquan to clear, and He's 20 CS up. He's 5 camps ahead of Skewed. And I don't know what this Gragas is doing. He's hanging around bot lane a lot and getting nothing done. He's trying to visit lanes, and because he's not achieving anything realistically, he's just falling further and further behind. And that's great for Fook. He's gonna get straight onto that Black Cleaver and well on his way. Meanwhile, Hero, he stopped off for a Executioner's Calling against Yoshino, and that's... Yeah, it has healing, but okay, goodbye, Jane.
Here comes Skewed in the mid lane. Timbers is used. Jane has flash available, but knows that it would not be of any avail. It's in the bot lane. Eddie's getting chunked down really low. Has to be careful. Does have Shu Hao for a little bit of healing with the ebb and flow. And now Pudding is just going to get this wave to crash under tower as Eddie is forced to reset. And actually cancels that back.
Oh. Okay, there is a Rift Herald here for Skewed. So they will get a lot of plate damage down onto this tower, unless Fook wants to try and dissuade them. But that's going to be 3 plates taken quite easily. And yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of gold into the Cassiopeia, who will be a menace later. And I mean, Jane, not much you can do here. You get just CC'd, Petrifying Gaze into the Gragas. You didn't have your stun ready to drop the Tibbers. And it just sort of fell apart. Not much you could do.
And Team Secret now just 1,000 gold behind after the mid lane kill for Artifact and then the Herald. Big CS leads though coming in for Yoshino, and in particular Pudding as well, who has a CS lead and 2 kills as well on this Ophelia. It's going to be an absolute monster in any team fights or skirmishes that will be happening over probably the next 10 minutes or so. But Artifact, huge on this Cassiopeia, and it all comes from the fact that Jane made those roams down towards the bottom lane, and now we're seeing Team Flash wanting to get on top of Snack Lady, but Zhu Hao is here for support.
Yeah, Zhu Hao in the right position. They don't feel confident in going for the play, especially as with Skewed there too, but the dragon is now live, and we might start to see the fight.
Flash body slam, but the flash from Sora prevents the explosive cast from knocking the Lulu into the other of Team Secret. We're just seeing Eddie.
Dude got greedy, I can only assume, because you shouldn't miss the barrel unless you go for the auto attack in between. Yeah, but if you don't auto attack after the ultimate, they are stunned long enough for the barrel to come through. Usually, unless they have an absurdly high tenacity.
Fook going over the wall. Out comes the Aqua Prism. Big Moonlight Vigil will follow, and Skewed has already fallen. It's a 1-for-1 jungler down on each team. Now the teleport is coming through from Yoshino. Hero doesn't have a teleport to be able to join in the fight, and Team Secret are forced out of the river, and Team Flash will be able to secure the Drake.
Yeah, actually insane that the fight could have gone so much worse without that teleport, because Puddin and Sora turned their attention straight onto that dragon. But Team Secret want this inhibitor. Wow, god damn. Mid lane tower. I got it.
First tower.
Get there in the end. First tower, pick it up. That's a lot of gold pushed over into the side of Team Secret in exchange for the dragon, but traded back fairly quickly. And Flash feeling confident with a pretty okay lead. This is the second time around, and Fook and Jane committing so hard to kill Skewed, but there's not great follow-up from the bot lane of Team Flash, so they end up sort of isolated from the fight and just taking the dragon as Yoshino comes in to just save Jane.
I feel like if that teleport comes through a bit earlier from Yoshino, maybe Team Flash can essentially have a 5v4 and win the fight a little bit harder. And then it almost feels like the time it came through, it just had no real effect. Maybe it dissuaded Team Secret from being a little bit angsty at the tail end of the fight.
Yeah, definitely dissuaded them from trying to clean that up. It didn't end up saving the tower, but it's a nice, quick, decisive call from Team Secret to pick that up to counterbalance the loss a little bit. But Puddin was left to his own devices to pick up gold on his own, and I'm wondering how much gold he's sitting on, because it looks like he should have a decent gold lead over Eddie, but it's not really manifesting itself in items right now. He's got some boots, and there it is. That's the BF sword. That's a start.
Tier 2 boots, BF sword as well. To be fair, Eddie though does have a seal, which while it's not as impactful as a BF sword, it is still a relatively expensive item in total. What is it, about 1,000 gold, I want to say?
Yeah. I think it used to be 1,200. I'm not sure if it's still that, but yeah, and of course, I mean, Lucian has cheated a little bit of gold in his build with skipping the Doran's blade and getting those free boots to just, boost him along a little bit. So, and of course, First Strike will have supplemented the income as well. So, in the end, we just need to see sort of comparisons of these gold, but yeah.
I mean, Eddie's just completed the rapid fire cannon, so technically has the second item before Eddie, despite being down in CS, down in well, actually not down in kills anymore, but he was down in kills and assists. So it doesn't make sense because he didn't even get that many tower plates either.
No, it's definitely just a mix of First Strike and not having spent gold on certain on boots and Dorans. But in the end, it's really, you've got just the small 1,000 gold lead, and you'd imagine most of that would be sitting on Yoshino with a bit of an lane advantage, some gold under his belt from turrets. He's got that full mythic complete. It's just interesting to see where it's ending up, because I'd love to see where the gold distribution actually is, because some of it feels like it should be in other places, but it's not manifesting yet.
I feel like the last time we casted, which was last week on Saturday, every time you brought up something like that, and you said, "Oh, I'd really like to see this," the observers actually brought it up. It was actually kind of magical, just how you got the timing spot on. But sadly, today we are not having any such luck.
I'm trying to manifest it. Give me funny graphics to talk about, Mr. Observers. Anyway,
something else
Dragon in a minute.
Something that I do want to bring up is Eddie is strong now, right? And despite him being weaker than putting for this majority of the game, he is still a Lucian. He's at 2 items. We're at nearly 20 minutes. He's going to hurt a lot, as will Jane on this. And yes, Fuquan goes over the wall, forced to flash and ride the explosive cask roller coaster out to safety. And Skewed, as you mentioned, just maybe being that little bit greedy with his ultimate.
Yeah, just trying to weave in that empowered auto attack before throwing out the cask. You used to get away with that, but they deliberately made it so you couldn't. And that's just, yeah, you can't do that anymore. And that's twice now that the engage from Skewed, the attempted pick, has just gone awry. And sure, Fuquan doesn't have his flash anymore, as culling will rain down, but you've lost your main sort of big engage or disengage tool in a team fight. And it's now just down to how much poke can you actually land to dissuade this fight. It's
both top laners
well so far.
Both top laners have teleport as well. They can join into this fight. And if I'm looking towards Team Secret, I'm looking at Hero flanking, finding his way onto putting in Sora in the backline. Team Secret have control of the river. They start it up. Fuquan has ultimate available. Skewed does not. Tidal Wave just to zone away Team Flash, and it will have the desired effect. Jane, though, making his way in. In goes Fuquan. He steals away the Drake. Moonlight Vigil on top, and 2 members of Team Secret are trapped in the pit. Artifact is low, and so is Skewed, and Artifact will get killed. Skewed over the wall. Team Flash get a kill, and Team Flash get the Drake.
Team Flash get the dragon. Absolute beautiful smite from the side of Fuquan, and Eddie's looking to chase it.
Eddie is feeling brave, flashes forward in the end. The kill goes the way of Skewed with the explosive cast, but the teleport comes through. Team Flash make it a 1-for-1.
Yeah, absolutely. It took long enough that the explosive barrel came back up, but Jane returning with the teleport means that they can trade it back instantly, get 2 more kills and a turret. Everything is going in the way of Team Flash right now. They've got 3 dragons, they've got great mid lane control. Baron is now on the table, and they can absolutely shred through this with Aphelios, who now has an Infinity Edge in his pocket, and just rides Artifact in, picks up the steal, and the CC is great and traps Artifact in the pit. He could have flashed. I'm pretty sure he even... Actually, okay, I guess not. I don't know. felt like he could have flashed. Or maybe I was just lied to by some of the graphics on the screen. But Eddie tries to chase the loss, gets one, but they overcommit too hard for it, and with Jane's teleport, it's equalized and taken even further.
You can't really blame Eddie for going for that. He saw blood, he saw putting low, but there was just so much healing from Sora to keep putting alive. And putting now 4 in 1 Infinity Edge, as you mentioned, completed. And that Infinity Edge is a lot stronger than the Rapid Fire Cannon that has been picked up from Eddie. And we're getting to this point now where the Aphelios is going to be stronger than the Lucian. And that's when they have the same number of items.
Yeah, we still have to see sort of where the gold's going to come through. This next item from Puddin, we're not quite sure what it will be just yet, but once he gets further and further along, he will be quite happy. But we have some picked up already on the other side. He'll be able to put out a decent amount of poke damage, but still won't be able to put out as much in the extended if just left to free fire. Just so much control.
Something else to bring up is what we talked about before this game, which is that Team Flash have looked good in all of their series in the early stages of the game, particularly against GAM last week. But it's after they get through that early stages of the game, when it starts coming down to macro, when it starts coming down to team fighting, that's when maybe they start to slip up. And let's not forget, Team Secret last year, a very, very good team fighting team with Artifact, kind of dictating fights, Shu Hao playing so well as well. Can Team Secret emulate that, right? Because they aren't a huge amount of gold behind. You're talking about 2,000 gold. That's not a lot to fight back from.
Yeah, and I think we've sort of seen flashes of it. Like, that dragon, it looked pretty good for Team Secret. They managed to bully Team Flash into a bad position and take control of the dragon, and it really should have been theirs. Just a bad smite from Skewed, and it's just these small advantages that have let Team Flash come together. They've out-executed, but they've not necessarily ran the positions better, and now Skewed's just in trouble.
Yeah, it's just CC on top of CC. Skewed will fall, and Team Flash say, hey, look, there's a Baron, and Secret no longer have a jungler available to them. And surely this is going to be Flash's for the taking.
Calling Jane, that seems really... Okay, he did have that
as a teleport
available. And they even teleport in... Okay, that's interesting. They teleport in Hero to defend this Baron, and that just means Yoshino, he's fine. I think it was an actual bait. I don't think we're gonna get a replay, but I think Yoshino disappeared. Annie disappeared as well. They saw the teleport come down and thought, oh, Yoshino is joining. Hero has to join, but it was Annie. So Yoshino just gets to freely push another tower and crash another wave.
And now there's a teleport advantage for Team Flash in the side lane, and it's for a Fiora that absolutely loves to be sitting in the side lane. Team Secret will have a teleport advantage for mid laners with Artifact on that Cassiopeia having his backup, but Artifact's going to be with the team anyway, right? He and Team Secret don't have the ability to force a split push using this Cassiopeia right now, I feel.
Yeah, definitely not right now. And
okay, Fook really going in, Jane trying to follow up. Good petrifying gaze, and the Lulu has been forced out of the fight. This might be going the way of Team Secret. Hero has used the dominance. The Drake has been started. This would be Cloud Soul for Team Flash, which would be absolutely huge for the likes of Yoshino on this Fiora. Can Skewed get his revenge? Can't get into the pit. Yoshino now over the wall, looking towards this Renekton. And it is 2 kills now for Team Flash, with both Skewed and Hero falling. Fook one flashing forward as Artifact, Eddie, and Shu Hao are forced to retreat.
3 seconds on Skewed, but they pick up the soul, and they are going to head straight towards this Baron. It's gonna take a while for the Gragas to get there. There's no Crocodile to worry about, so Team Flash are just gonna take everything after another big engage to just remove the Gragas. And Fook is surviving so long with this Aftershock that he's able to just go in fairly recklessly. It feels like it's not the biggest gold lead. It's only now jumped up to 6k, but yeah, he's just going in like a lunatic. But Jane is always behind him, Because over here, he looks like he's in a really bad position, but they just go, all right, we're going to kill Gragas instantly. And Hero commits his entire combo onto a Lulu and doesn't even get the kills. So they just feel out of sorts and don't want to push in through the Aphelios, just dropping the turrets, throwing out the poke. And without that Gragas, they don't have fantastic engage. They maybe have a tidal wave, but they already used that as well, so it's just a quick pick onto Hero on the way out, and Team Secret just can't get anything done.
I feel like it's so unlucky, though, for Hero that he didn't get the kill onto Sora. You're talking about possibly single-digit hit points on the Lulu. Maybe that fight could have gone a bit differently. We'd be looking at a slightly different game, but now it is Team Flash with a Soul. Explosive Cask will only land on to Sora, putting, though, left alive as the side of Team Flash just pushing the mid and top lanes with Baron buffs in both positions. And Hero already chunked down, and Yoshino just getting this wave prepped as in go Team Flash once more. Artifact chunked down, Yoshino over the wall, gets the kill onto the Snake, and Team Secret are just being absolutely wiped. Artifact and Zhu Hao will be seeing the grey screen possibly for the last time this game, because Team Flash are looking to end this game right now.
They've got Baron, they've got Tibbers, they have so much damage, and Team Secret doesn't have an Eddie anymore. They're not going to have a Hero for much longer either, despite that big heal from the Gore Drinker. And that's it. That's the first game for Team Flash, and if they can keep it up, they are looking for their first series win. Put it on the board.
Put it on the board.
Impressive.
I'm sorry, Mobby. You know me, right? I've got to get through a couple of puns in a broadcast. It was a decent one.
I'm mad. I walked right into that one.
I mean, to be fair, you kind of went with. I almost went with Team Secret. I'm gonna need a hero. Go with the song, but I couldn't remember the song lyrics fully. Either way, a very, very good performance from Team Flash has to be said, and they're looking good for this series. Team Secret are going to need to find an extra gear, maybe an extra couple of gears heading into game 2.
Yeah, Flash looked really nice. They crushed that early game, as we sort of said they were good at, and this time they didn't make any major mistakes. They nearly lost that third dragon, and even then, that's not necessarily a huge mistake. You had 3, giving up 1 cloud is not bad at all, but you can just see from the gold graph, it was a nice control from Team Flash the entire way, and then a quick smack home after that 4th dragon and Baron fight.
So I think with that, Marby, what would you like to see Secret doing differently heading into a game 2?
I think we're going to need to see Hero on something like Scion. Even maybe put him on the Gragas. Maybe, I don't know. I feel... Or if nothing else, Suhao on Nautilus. Just more ability to start fights.
Let's not forget that Flash banned away the Nautilus, right? It was a Giga Brain ban, right?
I think it was Secret that banned the Nautilus.
Was it Secret who banned it?
Yeah, I think it was. Which, okay.
Damn. My narrative is gone.
Yeah, unfortunate, but could be worse. You could be Team Secret down 0-1.
You could be Team Secret down 0-1. Flash, though, up 1-0. We're going to head into a short break, and we will be back shortly with Game 2 of our series. Howdy. Welcome back to the VCS English Game 1 between Team Flash and Team Secret. Wasn't a stomp, but it was very, very clean by the side of Team Flash. And Team Secret, they had maybe 1 or 2 moments where it looked like they could maybe find a fight, maybe find an angle, but they never amounted to anything. And we're now heading into picks and bans for Game 2, and Team Secret already giving full respect to Jane's Annie.
Yeah, complete shift in priorities for a number of these bans. The Caitlyn taking away the Annie as well, and the Sejuani is going to be insta-logged for Fook 1. Want to get their hands on the best jungler they can early on. And even though the Sejuani has had middling success, it is still a strong pick in the meta. And I mean middling success within the context of the VCS. It's still strong, and if you draft correctly, you can make it work fantastically. And I think with a strong sort of bruiser top laner like Yoshino, you can absolutely get a great snowball rolling the top side if you want. But just going to be matched with a Vi, and Zeri can absolutely cut through it as the game progresses.
Love me a little bit of Zeri, but now this time it is Team Flash who will be taking the Lucian Nami. And we saw how well Pudding and Sora did against the Lucian Nami. Now that they have this early bottom lane, can they flip the script? But what can Team Secret do though? Zeri, Lulu going to be locked in. I know that Lulu's being picked up. It is not going to just be a random hole.
It's 13. It's season 13, baby. Junglers and Zeri, Lulu, Nami, Lucian. It's never gonna change, is it? These picks are never going away. But yeah, that's going to be the case. In this league, Zeri and Lulu have absolutely had the better of this matchup. And it's one of the champions that Eddie has put out pretty solid performances on. Has a decent front line to just crack those burst fires into and build up those passive stacks as the team fight. Oh, sorry, those ultimate stacks as the team fight goes on. So pretty happy with that first round draft. Should be Team Secret. Now it's just a matter of banning out Yoshino, who put on a pretty impressive performance in the 1v1 up against Hero. Wasn't able to translate it into a significant advantage for his team in an obvious manner, but it absolutely removed the Renekton from the game, so I can't complain.
And this time, it's Team Secret who are taking the Vi and the Gragas. It was Team Flash who had the Gragas in the previous game, and Yoshino says, look, you're going to ban away the Fury, you're going to ban away the Jace. Hey, there's this other early game top laner that I can pick up. The Renekton surely going to be locked in, and we'll see how Team Secret want to counter that with their R5 pick.
Yeah, it's Renekton. We're still not sure where this Jace is going to land. No Silas available to get the big melees going, but I feel like you want something with a bit more range. I would like to see something like the Victor. Ooh. But no, it's going to be the Akali. Just an absolute... Okay,
Love it.
This is such a short-range composition. If Hero just locks in a big beefy frontline, honestly, this also works as well. If you just put down that minefield, and there's just very little that Flash can do because they have to dash over it. They're gonna get outranged. There's just great zone control against these dash champions. Team Secret absolutely slam dunk in the draft.
Well, Team Flash playing as if they're Team Dash with 4 Dash champions, and well, Artifact has said, I'm going to take the anti-Dash champion with the Unraveled Earth, and it's going to make it very difficult for Team Flash to essentially close down the distance and be able to match the range that this Zeri and Eddie will have at their disposal.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about how this plays out for Flash. I mean, they could absolutely snowball immensely if they get rolling, and that's up to Fook 1, able to impact these lanes. But if they fall behind, I think it becomes very difficult to execute on this draft, just especially with the way that they've been drafted against. The Talia and Gragas are going to cause so much pain for them in trying to get the engage they want. So it's going to rely on great flank angles and baiting out positions, baiting out zoning abilities and ultimates. That's presuming they don't crush the early game and just snowball into an 18-minute win or something like that.
So I feel like we're both on the angle that this is going to go to a game 3.
I think all things reasonably played out. It should be, but of course, this is the VCS, and nothing reasonable ever happens in the VCS. So this could
Reasonable
go
things
anywhere.
do happen in the VCS. I feel like we overuse that sometimes because like we do have crazy
True.
stuff in the VCS, but it's not always ridiculous. We do have a game, right? So something predictable has happened. Marby, do you mind if I ruin the broadcast temporarily?
Oh boy.
We haven't had a pause yet.
Knock on wood.
If we get a pause in the next 10 seconds, right? I feel like the entire VCS fandom is going to come flying over to England to murder me.
Oh, I'll bloody swim, mate. And I'm in Australia.
How many miles of swimming would this take? Like, would he stop off at any land masses on the way and then walk and then swim again? Or are you just swimming all the way until you get to England?
I don't even know which way is shorter, but either way, there's going to be a continent in the way. Just a matter of if it's Africa or
You swim around the continent.
Ah, yes, everyone knows you swim around the Cape of Good Hope. That nothing ever happens to waterborne vessels there. Anyway, on to this nonsense. It's going to be a bit of fun trading back and forth. Zarya and Lulu should have the upper hand, and interested to see where these junglers go. Both starting on blue side, so we might see some attention paid towards the top lane by Skewed, unless he wants to go for a bit of a cheeky play down into the enemy red side jungle and try and bully Fook early.
And actually, Yorway has made a very good point, which is, you know what, I'm going to flame Yorway a bit, which is very unlike him. No, it's very much like Yorway. Because I remember last week when we had a Sejuani, we were talking about how there weren't any melee champions to pair with the Sejuani with that Sejuani passive. But here in this game, yes, it is a short-range composition for Team Flash, but that does work well to pair with Fook 1 Sejuani.
Oh yeah, I agree. I like the double melees with the Sejuani on principle. I like them less when it's paired with the Lucian Nami, even though Lucian Nami is not strictly a short range bot lane because of how much absurd damage the culling ends up doing. It means in sort of team fight situations, once that culling is gone, you have to use that culling extremely well to get the full effectiveness. But beyond that, yeah, it makes the Sejuani very, very powerful in the early game. She can access these solo lanes and try and get things rolling very, very happily.
Again, not expecting to see too much aggression. Once again, Fook, when it's hovering around this bottom side, there is a ward in the river, just like there was in the previous game. And I do wonder if, like Game 1, we're going to be seeing both of our junglers consistently towards this bottom side of the map.
So just currently Fook 1 at the moment, just heading down there, keeping the pressure down. And as the levels come in, this lane will be switching back into the presence of the Lucian Nami, but now Yoshino is pushed up. This is a very easy gank opportunity.
And here comes the Skewed. Yoshino is going to double slide his way out to safety. Still has his flash available as well. And Hero doesn't have too much mana, so even if Skewed isn't here, Yoshino can more than likely hold his own, if not even win trades.
Yeah, no, they're not gonna be able to pick him up. Yoshino is more than happy. Hero once again just saying, I am only playing tank Gragas, which is not the way you should be playing Gragas in my opinion, especially when you get to beat just a bruiser with the existence of Roa these days. As Skewed will win the smite fight. No, he actually
flash,
won't, but
permafrosted, and will fall. First blood secured by Fook 1, who also gets the Scuttle Crab, so it is 2 out of 2 for the Sejuani in Game 2.
Yeah, no, misread the smite. It was Fook that gets it, and it's Fook that picks up the kill. Oh my goodness, it's a disaster for Skewed out the way, and Fook is happy just to run the show. And with that, it's a small lead. we're gonna have to see it transfer into the lanes itself, but just okay. Skew just sort of gets panicked here and tries to flash away, but does not have the Q cooldown until ever, and he just can't get through to the wall.
As soon as he used that flash, I just thought, is he actually going to have enough time to charge a Q to get over the Baron Pit wall? As we're seeing Yoshino getting his wave ready to crash under Hero's Tower. He's just building up a nice freeze.
Hello, Sora!
Well flashed by Artifact. Really good roam from Sora on this Nami, you know, making that, what do they call it? The Great Salmon Run from, like, south? I don't know.
Yeah, I get your reference. I can't
Thank you.
elaborate on it, but because I also have a very, very approximate knowledge of such things.
I'm like, here's this cool reference. I don't really know how to use it fully, but I'm just going to throw it in there and hope people get the general gist of it.
No, my knowledge of marine life is I know a decent amount about the beaver trade in
the beaver trade?
Yeah, it's not relevant. But
is there like financial beaver trades going on? They got a whole Wall Street up there.
I did no. It's not around any. It's a fair trade in the 1800s, 1600s,
okay.
that sort of thing.
Meanwhile, there's a Drake trade going on as the Team Flash get the first Drake of the game.
Yeah, they can turn that into something, some kind of hat. That's what you do with dragon skins, right? I don't know.
I feel like dragon skins
maybe some boots
more for
like they walk faster.
Yeah, exactly. You use dragon skin for boots. You use it for like leather armor because it's like really tough but still like flexible and durable, like polyester or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If anyone's wondering, I did just compare dragon hide to polyester.
Can't wait for that to be included in the next Elder Scrolls game, the polyester set. Anyway, Fuchs Hunton, he's got his level 6, so he can make big impact plays now with that Glacial Prison, and he is lurking in the spot side, just waiting for Eddie to step too far forward, and that's it. Gets Flash.
Xu Hao now without a flash. Just looking across the map to see other flashes, we did see Artifact's flash being burnt in the mid lane, so I would like to see some aggression towards there, and maybe a kill also going towards Jane on this Akali. And we didn't really have much time to mention this in the drafting phase, but I'm really excited to see Jane's Akali, right? We've seen Jane on the end, we've seen them on some of the more safer mid lane options, and now this is a really skill expressive champion for Jane to essentially prove themselves here on the VCS stage.
Oh yeah, absolutely can make his mark. He's been stuck in Academy in VCSB for a while now. This is his finally getting a starting spot after being stuck behind Artemis for so long. He's played a couple of games, but never had that starting spot. So he's played fairly well on these majors, and he's just looking to explode onto the scene now with this Akali. I'm interested to see how he can pull it off. He's played the Renekton, which is probably the most equivalent to thus far the split, and Putin is all alone.
Has a flash available, Weaver's wall coming in, flashes away, Seismic Shove will not land, and Pudding will survive. Skew, though, almost doesn't.
Nothing's working for Team Secret. They're trying so hard. Absolute hero play though from Puddin, and even Sora flashing to get the heal and the
oh wow.
Committing everything to save his AD carry, and it worked. So it's all going well. In the meantime, the top side just continues to fall further and further behind as Fuchs just keeps on farming. The benefits to sort of AFK farming haven't come in just yet, but it's not looking great for Skewed, being 30 CS down, and with that first blood as well. That's going to be a very fed Sejuani. Might even should have that mythic, or whichever option he chooses, because he might just be ending up going for that Warmog's Rush.
To go back to that bottom play, considering that Sora used both summoners, I think it's a worthwhile roam that we saw from Team Secret. Yes, they did invest a couple of ultimates, but they got 3 summoners out of it, and that's going to make Sora and Pudding very susceptible to a future gank in the next few minutes.
Yeah, it's definitely, it gives the option for that repeat play, but now, I guess that's partially why Fook 1 is now just sort of lurking on this bot side of the map while he can. He's got camps to clear, and also he wants to be able to respond in time if necessary. Jane has not been able to be unlocked, and that's somewhat to be expected in the matchup, but just want to see Jane really come to life when the team fights eventually happen. In a minute or so, that should be the case. Right now, it's a little bit of advantage for Team Flash in the Vision setup, as they have control over the bot lane entrance and that Scuttle Crab, but still time for Secret to take control.
And let's not forget as well, it is a nice CS lead for Jane to have in this matchup, playing against Atelier, where I feel it should be Artifact who has the CS lead, who has control of the lane. So the fact that Jane is getting this lead is rather impressive.
Yeah. I think they've been fairly even for a lot of the time. I think a couple of visits from Sora and pressure from the Sejuani have let Jane farm well, and the small lead perhaps coming out from that investment into the bot side from Artifact, but very even. That's what you want to see. Fook may have overstood.
Goes over the wall, flashes away. Will he be able to stay alive? Surely not. Will fall. Eddie forced to flash over the wall. Pudding cannot follow. As we see Skewed also flashing the wall and out to safety. Team Secret will get the kill, but they burn a lot of summoners in the process. And with a Drake spawning as well, maybe Team Flash will be able to pick up their second Drake of the game.
Drake is spawning. Skewed is fairly healthy though. And with the teleport from Artifact, I can see Team Secret being able to pick that up potentially, but no, they've put enough pressure onto the bot lane to force a response from the Vi, and from there, just not going to mount much, and Fook should be back on the map to make up for this little blunder, as the collapse is just so much faster from Artifact that he's able to pop off on people, and they almost pop Eddie, but it couldn't quite get it. You can't follow over without the flash, and doing so would have been probably a death sentence anyway. Now, can Jen get close enough to actually pick up any gold? No, so it's really just one big Fed Sejuani coming in for the side of the Flash, getting that first blood, getting those turret plates from the Rift Herald.
One big piece of bacon then for Team Secret to slowly grill over a barbecue, as the Drake has now been started up. Both top laners have a teleport available. Jane going to be able to get towards the river before Artifact, who doesn't have a Weaver's Wall at their disposal. Team Flash are on the Drake, but it is Skewed who wants to work their way in. Last game, it was Fook 1 stealing the Drake away in this position. But here in game 2, Team Secret are just going to yield and allow Flash to secure their 6th Drake of this series.
Yeah, it's just Drake 2. It's not worth really committing to a fight you're not comfortable with. And they didn't really have great positioning. The Flashes are now up from the side of the Flash bot lane. And okay, hello Jane. Welcome to the party.
Oh, did he just solo kill Artifact?
Just solo killed Artifact. We didn't see it, but he did it. We'll hopefully get a replay of that.
That's a feat and a half against, in my opinion, 2022 Summer's MVP, split MVP. At the very least, mid lane MVP.
And we're just gonna have a look at this, and yep, just lands everything. And when that E is down, was sort of used earlier, gave the angle for Jane to just capitalize on the lack of defensive tools Artifact has. From that point on, just nice and clean. Picks up a rocket belt for himself, so he can just do that again later, possibly.
Team Flash, though, now have a little bit of an extra lead through this mid lane courtesy of Jane, and Team Flash are looking for another Rift Herald, and Jane will be hoping that they are actually in range of the tower when it forced to get some of that extra gold. Hextech Protobelt picked up for Jane along with the sorcery shoes, and this Akali is going to start to be pumping out a little bit of damage onto some of the squishier members of Team Secret.
And still just struggling. We see lots of these Team Secret players struggling to put items together. Hero has that first ultimate as just a bit of a scuff. Missed that. So Hero has his Sunfire, but yeah, that mid jungle just trying desperately to put things together. Skewed is just so far behind, and Artifact's just indecisive about what he's actually trying to build. He wants components of his Seraphs, he wants components of that Leandries, but that means he's not getting either.
I'm also wondering if can that build into Everfrost?
I mean, the Kindle Gem and the
Lost Chapter
can. I don't believe the Fiendish Codex is involved in it, so he might be going for Everfrost or a Crown of the Shattered Queen, but seems strange. Seems like it's still just strange to pick up this ragtag bunch of CDR bargain basement. It's like he's building a Vladimir. This is a classic Vladimir build, actually, minus the Lost Chapter because mana. But yeah,
it's how I feel when I play like Orianna and Kassadin. I want a tier, I want to get my Lost Chapter, I also want to get a Dark Seal, start stacking that up as well. I of course need to have my stopwatch, and then you realize your inventory is completely full. Leandries though is completed for Artifact, so you were right on the money there.
Okay, there we go. That makes a lot of sense with this health stacking Sejuani just going full on into the Warmogs. I'm not a huge fan of it if you're in a composition or against a composition like this, where it's not the most poke in the world. You don't need that regen available. I think you're much more effective, but just building actual resistances and going full hog and trying to crash into people with the Radiant Virtue or even a Jack Shot. But in the end, it's his choice, and yeah, the Warmogs will be working out just fine for him at this stage.
2 kills to 1 and a 4k goal lead for the side of Team Flash. I do just want to wind back the clocks to something we were talking about at the end of Picks and Bans, which is Team Flash, their composition is incredibly short range. If we do get to the later stages of the game, Team Secret have a huge range advantage that they can flex over Team Flash. And we did say one of the ways for Team Flash to win was if they can just get a big early lead and just snowball it out of control. Do you think this lead is big enough for Team Flash? And do you think Team Secret could safely make it to a point where they can outscale Flash?
It's 4K at 18 minutes. That's pretty damn big. It's up to Team Secret to sort of stem the bleeding, but with an Ocean Soul, if you can get a good Ocean Soul on top of Yoshino and Fook 1, you have a frontline that becomes insanely difficult to get rid of. And I mean, Yoshino, we haven't really talked about him much because top lane's been absent from the game. He's just quietly built up a 20 CS lead. He's quietly knocked down a few plates, and now he's picking up a turret for free. His Hero has grouped up with the rest of his team to just try and stop the stacking.
Yoshino has a teleport available, and on this Renekton, if he can find a flank, it's big. He's going to teleport to give Jane some assistance, and in comes the cease and desist. Yoshino, though, zoning the rest of Team Secret away as Fook 1 shows up as well. Sora slowly making their way over. This is a 5v4 because in the mid lane, Pudding is still pushing, and Team Flash are slowly making their way towards said mid lane and towards the safety of their ADC as Jane forced to flash over the wall as Team Secret will pick up their blue buff. Hero going over the wall will find some CC onto Fook 1, and all of Team Secret just waiting in the Wolf Pit. Flash back on the retreat, and both sides just jinking around, just trying to find a bit of damage, finding an angle to engage, but no full engage comes through yet.
Could be dangerous for Flash. They've blown a lot of their major ultimates. They have a decent gold lead, but there's still so much more in this exact moment for Team Secret to work with.
No Glacial Prison, no Dominus available for the top, and a jungler, and in comes the engage. Hero going onto the backline, Tidal Wave comes through. Eddie uses the ultimate and is still untouched.
Whoa,
Fall, and Eddie is just on the run. Juhao with no health left whatsoever. And Eddie is now in a 1v5, will sensibly back away. Team Flash will get 2 kills, and Team Flash will get their 3rd Drake of the game.
Never mind. Yoshino doesn't need a Dominus. He has a Gold Drinker and an empowered Q. That's basically the same. He just dives straight in there. And this looks fairly good from at the start by Team Secret. They catch out the hero, at least catches out the bot lane and puts them into an uncomfortable position. But it's just sort of separated. The bot lane flashes out, and that tidal wave right in the corridor just gives the access for Yoshino to just go from half health to full in one move. Fook surviving by the hair on his chinny chin chin, and that's all fine. They got 2 for nothing and can happily just picked up the dragon afterwards. Now
I also want to mention as well, while Yoshino did a lot of damage, I think Jane landed the perfect execution, the second phase of it, onto about 3 or 4 members clustered up, so did a large portion of that AoE damage. So Jane coming out really big in that fight. Let's be careful not to get caught by an Aqua Prison, and Team Flash just continuing
there it is.
In their lead. Yeah.
There it is. You see how much damage that was dealt by the side of Team Secret, but it didn't matter because it was all hold that.
Glacial Prison doesn't land. Skewed is so incredibly low and is going to die before the rest of the team even arrives. Team Secret are down to 4 and forced to back away. Team Secret now without their jungler, and there is a Baron for the taking.
It's a Baron. It might be a little bit too early. They don't have. They might not have the damage to stand, especially when standing up against a rain of barrels, ultra shock lasers, and these rocks coming out from artifacts.
Look at Yoshino.
Starting it up. He's lurking. They just want to start another fight.
Just gonna go straight on it to Juhao. Fook 1 is low. Surely Fook 1 will die, and he just doesn't have enough damage. Hero will end up falling. Team Flash get the 1 kill. Jane exhausted, trying to sidestep the ultra shock laser. But again, Eddie just is not strong enough. You can see Team Secret are doing the right things. It feels like the fights are right for them, but they just do not have the goal. They do not have the items to contest this 7k goal lead that Team Flash have at their disposal.
Yeah, and even though they're sinking all the damage into Fook 1, they actually aren't able to burst him out just yet. Despite him not having any resistances, he's just stacked health. He only has his passive for those and that aftershock, but he's surviving, and it doesn't matter that you got him down to double digits. He's back to full instantly, thanks to that Warmogs. They just can't carry over the line, and this is just a 4v5 because Skewed was killed in a previous engagement, and Fook getting out just narrowly, and it doesn't matter because Eddie doesn't have his crit modifier yet. He's just got a lot of attack speed. Can't quite churn through these members of Team Flash. They don't have the damage. It's a fairly low damage composition in terms of immediate output, and they can't quite kill Fook, and they can't kill Fook fast enough.
In fairness to Team Secret, they do stop the Baron from being taken, but Team Flash are now 1.5 minutes away from a potential Ocean Soul, and you've already mentioned, Marby, how strong Yoshino would be with this soul, how strong Fook 1 is going to be, and Team Secret are already having issues getting through Flash's front line.
Yeah, we have to see where Eddie is going to go now. This third item, will he decide to just go for the Lord Dominic's, or will he go... Okay, it looks much more like he's going for these Navori Quick Blades. I like this option in a composition such as this, where you want to get the bounces across multiple targets, all clumped up together in the meatball, but it's still going to take a while to chew through this front line, which is just getting tankier and tankier, and maybe somewhere along the way you're going to need something like a Bramble Vest, especially if this Ocean Soul comes through, because Yoshino was already absolutely healing so much with the Gore Drinker. Just need a little bit of something. And
let's not forget
I don't know if this Seven Shroud's gonna make matters work for you.
Let's not forget that Skewed also has a black cleaver, so he's going to be able to get through some of the armor that Yoshino and Fuke1 have. Whether that's enough of an armor removal, we'll have to see. Look at Yoshino. He's trying to find a way into the back line, and in goes Yoshino. He's locked down by the Glacial Prison temporarily, but there is just no damage coming through from the side of Team Secret. Yoshino is so low, but he still survives. And now it is Jane's time to just burn through Team Secret. Flash, and Eddie will find the kill. It's a 1-for-1, and this is the fight that Team Secret need. Eddie is starting to be unleashed. Here comes the Weaver's Wall. Down goes the fish, and a double kill for Eddie, and a very late teleport. Polymorphed is Yoshino. Fuke1 and Pudding are on the run of 4v3 in favor of Team Secret, and Team Flash are running in all directions.
Yeah, you saw Flash get a little bit hyphy. The front lane felt invincible, but their damage could not join them, and so they just fall down. Now Eddie, he's got line. Puddin is poking on the side, and these Fuke and Yoshino are still fairly menacing as the front line. As long as Puddin stays alive, Fuke's looking for it, but it's just, yeah, it's not really worth hanging around this much, and Hero can absolutely catch out Fuke here. He's got a
Hero
cast
has movement
very
speed.
soon.
Fuke1 is not going to be able to get away. Tries to Arctic Assault under the safety of his tower, but his tower will not defend him against 5 members of Team Secret. Team Flash, they're going to go for a 2v5. This could be, a Hail Mary and half alive. Jade is making his way over. Skewed has already fallen, but Yoshino will fall as well. Sora is now here. So is Jane. Some members of Team Secret are dangerously low, but Team Flash will not aggress any further.
So essentially a 1v1 in what was the 2v5, but just baffling. They could have called it quits at any time throughout that play. They could have just said, all right, yeah, they've got the dragon, we're going to leave. They could have said, okay, yeah, they've got Fuke1 and the dragon, we're going to leave. But Yoshino said, have another, and I'm going to take Skewed on the way. And you just see here, that, again, as I said before, they just engage so far away from the rest of their team, just not on the same page. Fuke1 and Yoshino wanted to fight. The rest of the team wanted to just set up for the Dragon Soul. And Zeri got to just charge up, Zeri got to pop off, and this wall cut them off and let Sora just fall down.
Jane just a little bit too aggressive on the Akali, just trying to find a hero play. Eddie and Artifact, you can see the damage they were able to output in the fight, and we're getting to that point, Marby. I just want to remind everyone the scaling aspect that Team Secret have, not in terms of their damage output, but in terms of their range. The fact that Team Flash is a very short range composition, and maybe we're getting to the point where the seesaw is starting to swing over to the side of Team Secret.
And it's only been about 12 minutes since we last checked in, and the gold has only increased about 1,000 in the last 12 minutes.
Here we go, Engager coming through. Can Team Secret win yet another fight? Weaver's Wall is going to cut Jane off from the play. Team Flash back away, as do Team Secret. No kills coming through, just summoners and ultimates being burned.
Flash has been playing really nice side lane setups with Yoshino, really good objective control, really nice objective setups, up until, about 5 minutes ago. And now they're just throwing themselves head first at Team Secret, trying to make another fight happen. And they don't need to. They need to try and catch Team Secret in a state where they're not ready for the fight, when they're uncomfortable, where they're face checking into an uncomfortable situation. Sort of like this, but Team Secret are not going to be quite as shocked.
Yoshino's been caught. Yoshino's been caught. CC chained, and Eddie gets the kill. Team Flash are going to be forced to back away from the Baron. Chain was getting ready to engage from another flank, but Team Secret, they just know that Flash are waiting on these flank angles and then just collapse on the single lone member of Flash, and now they're pushing in the mid lane.
Yeah, that Bush strategy doesn't quite work when they know exactly where you're going to be. It's very obvious. It's very mundane setup from Team Flash around this Baron. And they knew that Team Secret knew they were right there because they saw them walk into it, and it's like, okay, they're just anxious. They're getting in their own heads. They're getting way too hyphy. They need to slow down in a minute, get to this next dragon, set up the vision, set up the traps properly, and keep your tank, keep your front line in a position where they can actually fight with their carries. Jane and Puddin need to be able to join the fight instantly off the engage. And as it is, Team Secret are feeling very happy to just kite things out now. Hero is fairly tanky. He can just stand in the front line, throw a barrel, and disrupt everything. Skewed, yeah, he's getting closer and closer towards that Radiant Virtue. He's going to start feeling tanky. And Artifact and Eddie just sit too far back for Puddin and Jane to do anything if you just run head first at them.
And you can start to feel the desperation for Team Flash, and it happens in any sporting event when you have a lead and you start to slowly lose that lead. There's just so much pressure that starts to weigh on you. You start to second guess every single decision you could possibly make. And Team Secret are now eyeing up their second Drake of the game. If Team Flash could get that Ocean Soul, it might be their way back into this game. I'm saying way back into the game. They still have a 4K gold lead.
Yeah, they still have a 4K gold lead. They still have positioning on this dragon. They don't need to give up. They might be in a position where they have to give up a mid lane tower for it. Yoshino's on a flank, but he's
got to be careful. He flashes in with a Dominus. Juhao is forced away. Tidal Wave will find some knock-up. Hero still alive.
Jane's
one kill for Eddie. One kill for Team Flash. It's a 4v4, but look how low Jane is. Team Secret also low as well. Ultra Shock Laser will not land onto the Akali. Jane is going to be forced to reset teleport back into this fight healthily. And the Drake being started up by Team Flash. This is going to be so close, and it's going to come down to a smite fight. Award has been placed for Jane to teleport to. Is there any way for Skewed to get into the pit? He's going to try to come from behind. The Drake already down to 3,000, but Team Secret are going to give this away, and Team Flash will find themselves with Ocean Soul.
Yeah, they've called it. Just split off, go for this mid lane tower, get the free gold, get that massive objective bounty, and set up a little bit of presence on this Baron. Now these fights are going to be a little bit harder for the side of Secret, as Flash are going to have a lot more health regen throughout these fights. That Randuin's now completed for Yoshino, so he's going to be even tankier against Eddie. It's just a little bit more advantages for Team Flash, eking them out over and over again, but the gold lead is technically shrinking. It's still only about 4K, but it's just feeling like it's slipping away despite getting an Ocean Soul. And yeah, Eddie and Artifact doing all the damage in this game.
And what a hero play from Yoshino. The Flash engaged, stun onto multiple members to get this fight started.
Yeah, but you just see how much time it takes to chunk through Hero. He's so tanky that it just buys enough time for the backline to escape in a way that makes Jane's life very difficult, makes the follow-up, and you can't clean up the fight effectively. Baron started, of course, and Hero is just so good at blocking out Fook. Can they get the follow-up
fight? Team Flash are looking for the fight. Jane coming in from the side. Juhao is so low, so is Hero as well. Team Flash will get 2 kills instantly. But Team Secret still have the Baron, and the Baron buff on 3 members of the team.
Yeah, it's 2 and a Baron buff. It's 2 traded for a Baron buff, rather, I should say. But this top lane tower is now under siege. Eddie can't really clear this one out. This should fall for Team Flash. Again, they are quite short range. They have the ability to wave clear. So 1 tower down, they can't crash any further. And it's up to Secret rather, to regroup, regather themselves, and make the most of this Baron. They have a decent amount of standing gold on the map with objective bounties available. They can make this Baron power play huge if they play their cards right.
You know what? Hear me out here, Marby. I would have loved to see a Prowler's Claw from Yoshino. But you get where I'm coming from with this, right?
Potential, yeah, it would essentially mean you have double the assassination threat, because you have Yoshino doing the assassin Renekton, and you have Jane being an Akali, and potentially with the way Yoshino has found these flanks rather than Jane has, maybe it would have been a little bit more effective. But I think now that you have the Ocean Soul, now at this point, he's happy just being a strong front line, and I think they need to commit Jane to side lanes more rather than the Renekton, who is a big part of their 5v5.
And you can
They
always
lose one
see
tower.
on the minimap, Yoshino trying to find these flanks. He tried to wrap his way all the way from the bottom side to the mid lane, but couldn't get around as here comes Engage. But where is the rest of Team Flash? This is just a 3v5. Putting in Sora are nowhere to be seen. They shot, but Yoshino is already practically dead. Forced out of the fight. Look how low skewed. And Hero have gone. Team Flash will engage once more. Pudding finds one. A kill going the way of Team Flash. And they are wiping Team Secret. They have found the fight they have needed. And Secret will bite the dust. A quadra kill for Pudding and an ace for Team Flash.
And they have a wave set up on bot side. They can maybe crash. They'll definitely break the base. I don't know if they have enough time to end. A wave can be cleared by a barrel by Hero when he spawns very shortly. But they're going to make a crack at it. They have Fook who can just tank the towers indefinitely. I think they're going to go for the win.
I think this is game over. Team Secret will not be spawning in time. They put up a valiant fight. It looked like they were coming back, but Team Flash held strong. Team Flash found the one fight they needed, and Team Flash will take their first series win of 2023.
And that final fight looks like it was going to be a mess from Team Flash. It looked like the same disaster around that dragon pit with the front line engaging so far away from the bot line. We were trying to take red, but it didn't matter because they made that mistake. I think Eddie sort of got overconfident and stepped too far forward to try and chase into it, got jumped on, and once Eddie was removed, they ran over that fight, did Team Flash, and that is a 2-0 victory on the board for them. Their first series win. That's going to shoot them right up the standings. It's great to see this team. They're looking better and better every time, and it's good to see them with the win.
And let's not forget, with how close the VCS is looking this split, every single game is going to count so much towards securing those top 4 spots for playoffs. Or if you look at it from the other perspective, to avoid the bottom 2 spots for relegations. And to be honest, right now, I don't think any of us have a real idea as to who is going to be at the top of the split come the end of the season. Sure, Gamma 3-0, but we're going to see them face off against Cerberus. Their series against Wales yesterday was really close as well. And it is a double round robin at the end of the day.
Yeah, there's still so much up in the air. You can maybe divide the league into a couple of tiers of who looks absolutely insane and who is looking like they're getting there. But they're not. But it's not quite worked out. As now we're just going to see this game. Huge amounts of damage from the ADCs, but just so much of that damage on the Team Secret side was just being sunk directly into Fook 1 and not mattering in the end. Same with Yoshino, just eating up so much of that damage that it's sort of a misleading thing. And we can see where TS tried to almost made the comeback, but Team Flash, they finished it out strong.
I think with that, we're going to throw into a short break, and then we're going to be having our second series of the day. Cerberus and GAM will face against each other, our 2 undefeated teams, the only 2 undefeated teams left in the VCS split.
Rip Wales.